Thank you very much. And Luigi, thank you. I'd like to start with a question that I asked myself, and I'll try to give an answer. How much culture is there in a tire, a car tire? And how much is there culture in a machine tool, in a brake, in cement? How much culture is there in Italian industrial products? That's important because over and above those figures you've heard, perhaps we have to think about things in a wider sense. The important thing is that we are a great industrial company. We are the second industrial European country after Germany. And apart from the figures that you mentioned, is the fact that we have $155 billion. That is what we call the manufacturing surplus. Professor Zanani can explain this better than I can. In other words, how much remains in Italy comparing what we export to what we import. So it's 155 billion is a lot of money. It only 55 countries, a couple of countries, 5 countries, China, Germany, the US, and us, who can have this figure. And we have a very strong role on the international market for our industrial products. And why is this? Because within our industrial products, we have a very strong cultural component, if you like. We have that creativity, that knowledge, that ability to do, that know-how, which means that our industrial products can, in fact, have the cutting edge on the market. And this is all important for a country that has high labor costs. Now, why can we can do this, as I say, because within our products we have intelligence, beauty, and mechanical expertise, which allows us to make that 155 billion. So we have to see our industrial products from that point of view. Half of that 155 million comes from mechanical products. Of course, Italy means food, fine food, it means fashion, etc. But it also means mechanics, mechanical products. We're extraordinary mechanics, and we have been able to give a plus in terms of creativity, not just in developing fashion products, but also in making our machinery. The Emilian area, where we have those fantastic machines of the packaging industry, in EMA, for example, 1,200,000,000 is their turnover, and so on. And we have multinationals which have this ability, and I'll come to Pirelli afterwards. So I think we should remember Carlo Maria Cipolla, a great economist. He said that the Italians are used to make beautiful things in their small little village, but things which the rest of the world loves. And they have done this since the Middle Ages, because, in fact, we are a craftsman country where we have company towns. We have companies, in fact, which are very much country towns, or companies which come from a town. This is what Cipolla meant, that the whole area is characterized by what that company does. And this is what we're good at. And not just furniture, but also mechanics. And these products are, in fact, loved by the rest of the world. And this is what we're good at, picking up on what is liked. And this is a key aspect for our country. And coming back to Pirelli, working with artists, working in the cultural arts field in our Bicocca Center, for example. We do this also because we know that innovation of our products also has to do with the ability to take up and understand new innovative trends in the artistic world as well, because with artists we can talk about people, about industrial processes, on the transformation of the signs in the world and be able to put them into our products. The Pirelli Foundation has worked a great deal on recovering its archive and on restoring craftsmanship and putting them into our services and products. In other words, tradition and innovation combined. And I think it's almost the same thing. I remember Mahler talking about tradition. Mahler says tradition is not the custodian of the ashes, but rather is the idea of fanning the fires. So that's why, in fact, have been able to innovate. We have been able to go from natural rubber to synthetic rubber. We have to work in and fan the embers of the fire. It's not just a question of being their custodian, but fanning the embers. And this is what, in fact, developed what we have done also from an artistic point of view, our calendar, our advertising, and also products. And the factory, the last one, was designed by Renzo Piana in Settimo. And the idea is that we have cultural processes, not just to finance cultural endeavors. Culture is within the company. Culture is a key constituent of what we do. And the factory can also make things, but also host classical music concerts. In fact, we have had 3 series of conferences. The last was the 7th Beethoven symphony, done it at Settimo Torinese again, which means the name has 7th. So we had the 7th symphony in a place called the 7th. And we therefore have developed a factory that people go to every day to work, which is such a beautiful building that it can quite happily host classical concerts. And we have developed also storytelling. We have collected the narratives of many, many workers, and we asked the Piccolo Teatro to develop a theatrical show. I mean, it wasn't just a company endeavor. This was something we gave outside, and we went to the final rehearsal. But Mr. Provera, for example, only saw the first performance. He didn't want to influence it in any way. And what was this theatrical show? It was to bring onto the stage, after a long period of gestation, what we do in our factory, because what is done in the factory should, in fact, be represented by a play. And that's all important. And it's always important to do this sort of thing for a sense of having a profit. And the profit that we get is a sense of belonging that we develop throughout the factory and throughout our company. And the understanding that to be able to develop a car tire well, you have to have a great deal of sophistication and culture. I don't know if I've answered your question, says the speaker. You certainly have.